college football, where dreams are made, rivalries are sacred, and apparently your text messages can ruin an entire program. Yes, this is the story of how the University of Mississippi, aka Ole Miss, aka that school that wears powder blue like it's the 80s, got absolutely body slammed by the NCAA. Not for paying players in gold bars or giving them Lamborghinis, no. Text messages like, hey, come to Ole Miss kind of text. Let's talk about how a few recruits sliding into some DMs brought down an SEC football program harder than a Nick Saban post-game handshake. So our story begins in the early 2010s. Ole Miss football was fine. Not terrible, but let's just say no one was losing sleep over them unless you were an LSU fan with a guilty conscience. But then Hugh Freeze arrived. Before Hugh Freeze became the face of one of the most bizarre NCAA scandals, his coaching journey was already steeped in both success and cinematic connections. He first gained national attention coaching at Briarcrest Christian School in Memphis, the very school that inspired The Blind Side. Yes, that Blind Side. He coached Michael Oher, worked under the spotlight, and developed a reputation as a builder of men and a molder of talent. From there, Freeze joined the Ole Miss staff as an assistant under Ed Orgeron, before moving on to become the head coach at Arkansas State. In his one season there, he led the team to a 10-2 record and a conference title. That was enough to get the big call, head coach at Ole Miss in 2011. Freeze was charismatic, faith-driven, and passionate. He sold a vision of excellence. He quoted Bible verses and pressers. He said Ole Miss would rise again. And for a while, it looked like he was right. Then in 2013, Freeze did the unthinkable. He landed the number 2 recruiting class in the entire country. This was Ole Miss, not Alabama, not Georgia, Ole Miss. And he didn't just get good players. He got absolute game records. Robert Nkemdiche, the number 1 overall recruit. Laquon Treadwell, top wideout. Laremy Tunsil, a 5-star left tackle with the strength of an elephant and the footwork of a ballerina. And here's the wild part. Those recruits actually delivered. In 2014 and 2015, Ole Miss had back-to-back 9-win seasons, beat Alabama in consecutive years, and even won the Sugar Bowl. The Rebels were flying high, and for a hot second, they looked like a legitimate SEC contender. Analysts were stunned though, and SEC fans were suspicious. And the NCAA? Oh, they were sniffing around like a bloodhound at a barbecue. Now here's the twist. The NCAA didn't actually start investigating the football team. No, it all began in 2012 when the university discovered shady stuff going down in women's basketball. The women's basketball program in Ole Miss got hit with some serious academic and recruiting violations. Things like staff members doing coursework for prospective athletes. And then as the NCAA poked around deeper into the athletic department, that's when things really escalated. They stumbled into something juicier. And guess what they found? Text messages. Lots of them. Coaches were sliding into recruits' DMs like it was Tinder for 5-star athletes. And some of these messages came during dead periods when no contact is allowed. To the NCAA, that's like texting during church or peeing in the baptismal. Once the investigation into Ole Miss ramped up, they reviewed phone records, especially from school-issued phones, and interviewed staff members under oath. In some cases, coaches even turned over messages voluntarily, and in others, the NCAA got what they needed through digital forensics. Some messages were sent by boosters. For the uninitiated, boosters are usually wealthy or influential alumni and supporters of a school's athletic program. They're allowed to donate money and cheer from the stands, but they're absolutely not allowed to recruit. So when boosters start texting recruits like assistant coaches, the NCAA freaks out. The NCAA started compiling it all. Every message, every violation, every whispered rumor. And right when things couldn't get worse, they got way worse. NFL Draft Night, 2016. Laremy Tunsil, the offensive tackle from Ole Miss, is about to get drafted. It's his moment to shine. Then boom, someone leaks a video of Tunsil wearing a gas mask and hitting a bong. Just as ESPN cuts to their live camera feed for the draft, the internet explodes. This incident, reportedly caused by a hacked Twitter account, led to Tunsil falling to the 13th overall pick, where he was then selected by the Miami Dolphins. And then more leaks and text conversations, which supposedly occurred in February and April 2015. Tunsil asked Ole Miss assistant athletic director John Miller for money to pay rent and his mother's $300 utility bill. Miller responds to Tunsil's request by replying, "See Barney next week," which is an apparent reference to Ole Miss assistant athletic director that would take care of it. The timing of all this was nuclear. Ole Miss was toast, and the NCAA had all the ammunition they needed. Freeze had been denying everything, said they were being targeted unfairly, said they did things the right way, and then turns out he was using a university-issued phone to call, let's just say, adult companions over a 5-year span. So now the NCAA had text message violations, impermissible benefits, academic fraud, and a coach who needed a burner phone like he was in the FBI. Ole Miss couldn't defend it anymore. They imposed a self-ban from the 2017 postseason, then fired Freeze. In 2017, the NCAA dropped the final punishment: 2-year postseason ban, 4 years probation, 33 vacated wins, scholarship reductions, and restrictions on all official visits and communication. It was like the NCAA said, "You cheated and you were dumb enough to leave receipts? Get out of here." Matt Luke took over the mess as the interim head coach, then later was given the permanent job. As a former Ole Miss player himself, Luke's roots reign deep. But coaching in the SEC is less about roots and more about results. Unfortunately, Luke's tenure was underwhelming, to say the least. From 2017 to 2019, he posted a 15-21 record and failed to deliver a winning season. The Rebels lacked consistency, and fan enthusiasm steadily declined. The excitement from 2013 was long gone, and now most fans remember that era not for wins, but for text messages, gas masks, and hotel receipts. And Freeze? Well, he bounced back, got hired at Liberty, preached redemption, and also coached from a hospital bed. That moment actually became infamous during a 2019 game, when Freeze, recovering from back surgery, coached Liberty from a hospital bed in the press box, complete with a headset and a TV broadcast commentary. It was bizarre, meme-worthy, and somehow made him even more endearing to some fans. Then later on, somehow, some way, Auburn gave him another SEC job as their head coach, where he's still at today. Because in college football, if you can win games, your past is just, well, context. His record with the Tigers is currently 11-14, so he ain't doing great thus far. So what did we learn? Well, if you're gonna recruit illegally, maybe don't do it through iMessage, and don't send money through Venmo, with the memo being utility bills, LOL. And for the love of the Grove, if you're gonna act holier than thou, don't leave a paper trail that looks like the deleted scenes from an episode of To Catch a Predator. Ole Miss got hammered, not for buying houses, not for organizing fake classes, but for texting at the wrong time and having the worst timing in NCAA history. This has been a cautionary tale of how texting a teenager, quote, "Yo, come visit campus," became a felony in the NCAA terms. And also, we've learned, don't text and coach.